Good morning, everybody. We're going to get started in just 1 second. It's a lovely Monday morning, is it? Depends on who you are talking to, who you ask, right? It's Monday. We're getting close to being halfway through the month of December, which means halfway through the year of 2017. Getting ready for 2018. I think this next Saturday morning's crypto talk, I'm going to be talking about getting ready for New Year's. You know, reflecting on 2017. Are you where you want to be? Or better yet, are you where you thought you would be when you did your New Year's resolution at the beginning of the year? That's the biggest question. Where are you at right now? And what are you going to do about it if you're not where you want to be? That's the biggest question. So, this morning, we're going to talk about Bitcoin for beginners. But before I do that, do I still have this article? Or did I already shut it down? Some very, very, very important news just came out today. I always follow geopolitics. And this news has nothing to do with Bitcoin, but it does have, it's another cog or another entity that can impact the US dollar. This is why. There's an attack on the United States going on right now around the world to marginalize the US dollar. The Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians, the Syrians, the North Koreans are all looking to take advantage of cryptocurrency market as a way to marginalize the US, to be independent from the US dollar. And that is ultimately going to hurt our economy. It is also going to hurt our standing in the world as far as being the world's superpower. And by being the world's superpower, we are able to influence our way of politics by using the US dollar, by putting sanctions on people that don't do what we want them to do. And if sanctions don't work, we use the biggest, baddest military the world has ever seen, the United States military. But we always want to start with diplomacy. And if diplomacy is being attacked, if our diplomacy is being undermined, if the US dollar is being sidestepped, that has an impact on our ability to lead the world. But Germany made an announcement today that should be on the front pages of every single news article. Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, Wall Street Journal. This was what they should be talking about right now. And here is what it says. Germany denounces the United States under Trump's leadership, releases historic statement. This article, it does not matter if you're a Democrat or if you're a Republican. As an American, we all need to be concerned by this. I'm going to read this article first before we get into the crypto side of things. Germany's top diplomat has just informed the United States that they no longer see the United States as the ally they once were, saying that the leadership from President Donald Trump has led Europe on a path toward nuclear war. German Foreign Minister Sigmar Gabriel told the Berlin Foreign Policy Forum that Germany would start to go after its own agenda, whether the U.S. likes it or not, because the West was losing influence around the world now that Trump is president. The U.S. no longer sees the world as a global community, but as a fighting arena where everyone has to seek their own advantage, Gabriel said, according to the Deutsche Welle. Germany can no longer simply react to U.S. policy, but must establish its own position even after Trump leaves the White House. Relations with the U.S. will never be the same. I'm going to stop right there, and you guys can read the rest. Why is this important? Again, doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, doesn't matter if you're a Republican, doesn't matter if you support or you're for or against Donald Trump. This is what the world sees, and they're reacting to us. Do we want Germany to go out there and start putting their best interests out there? What happened the last time they did that? That didn't end too well. Do we want Russia and China and Iran and Syria and North Korea to be able to bypass U.S. sanctions and basically say, we don't care what America thinks? We dare them to do something, which forces us to have to use our military? Do we want to go down that path? But besides the military, before we get there, how can we pay for the military if the U.S. dollar collapses? Which is, this is the path that we're leading to. All of this is connected. What does that have to do with Bitcoin? It is all connected. Because these countries are going to use cryptocurrencies. And they're going to isolate and marginalize the United States and our dollar. We are at the beginning of a new age, a new era. The last 70 years of American utopia after World War II is coming to an end. Russia and China and Iran already made a joint statement saying, we are ancient powers. The United States is only 241 years old. We were able to survive before the United States, and we can survive after the United States. We don't need the U.S. dollar to do trade. We've been doing it for centuries before the U.S. dollar was even invented. And it's time we go back to that. That is what the Russians, the Iranians, and the Chinese are doing. And those are our competitors, our ally. Germany is one of our biggest allies. We saved, I can't say we destroyed them in World War II. But we rebuilt their country. We have what? A couple 100,000 dead Americans' graves in Germany right now. We put our blood, sweat, and money in that country for the last 70 years. And they make a statement today stating, we no longer see the United States as a world superpower. We're now going to start looking after our own interests, whether America likes it or not. That's our allies saying that. Pay attention to what's going on around the world, because it's going to impact us, our way of life, and our finances. We can't depend on our own government anymore. You're going to have to look out for yourself financially. Pay attention. Did I put the link to that article in here? If I didn't, I'll do it again. All right, now let's get to some light stuff. You know, that's serious. That's serious news. I might save that for later on. Because, you know what, I'll follow it up by a news that came out from Russia, December 11th. Yeah, I'm going to follow that up. That last article was from our ally. But what does our enemy have to say? And I'm going to put this link in the chat box. Always be educating yourselves. Don't depend on getting news just from Fox News and CNN and MSNBC. Know what's going on in the world. So here's this article. Russia set to utilize cryptocurrency to avoid U.S. sanctions. Haven't I been saying this for months? This is what they're doing and why. And the U.S. is just sitting on our ass right now, trying to get the SEC to block everybody doing crypto. They're not paying attention to the big picture here. Or they are, we just don't know about it. That's why they're getting the Fed coin ready. But look at this, listen to this. There has been a lot of speculation taking place as to how Russia is planning to create a significant boost to their oil market and subsequently overcome some strict guidelines set out by the United States. One suggestion implies the utilization of the growing power and influence of cryptocurrencies. Overcoming sanctions. The widespread adoption of crypto is now making officials in Russia think about how they can approach their crude oil trade differently. Thus, administrators are looking to move away from the US dollar in their trading and possibly turning to cryptocurrency as an alternative. In October 2017, the Russian central bank indicated that it was considering launching a national cryptocurrency following First Deputy Prime Minister Igor Shuvalov's support for introducing a crypto ruble. This move comes as the oil trade in Russia has been deeply affected by sanctions imposed by the United States as a result of the majority of oil using dollars when being traded. These sanctions, which were put in place by the Trump administration, cut the period that U.S.-based entities can provide finance to Russian energy firms from 90 to 60 days and are part of a fresh package of U.S. sanctions that U.S. President Donald Trump approved on August 2nd. The first workaround that Russian officials suggested was simply use the liquidity of crude oil companies in order to speed up the transaction process. In the case that a Russian firm is pressed for time due to the sanctions, they could simply dip into their cash reserves. Yet the economic power of a decentralized digital currency is also very attractive. If used instead, it will provide an entire shift in focus on the US dollar and American financiers. A shift from the currency would ultimately mean that Russia and other oil-rich countries might be able to avoid U.S. sanctions as they will no longer rely on the greenback. Let me continue. I'm almost finished here. Moving away from the American standard. The talk of this potential switch began in November 2017, where there was a yuan ruble swap worth $25 billion that took place, which could be a massive catalyst for change in the oil industry. The Prime Minister of Russia, Dmitry Medvedev, said that both countries had plans to utilize their respective currencies going forward in future years. You might know that name, Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev. Do you know where we heard that name before? Because he's at the center of this whole investigation dealing with Russian interference in U.S. elections. He was famously had a private meeting at the White House with President Trump the day that Comey, the FBI director, was fired. The same meeting where U.S. media was not allowed in the Oval Office, but Russian media was. Now, do you think Dmitry Medvedev has the U.S.'s best interest at heart? Whether you believe the Russians interfered with U.S. elections or not, what do you think their motive is? He's telling you, we want to get rid of the U.S. dollar. We want to get rid of U.S. sanctions. We want to be able to do whatever the heck we want to do, no matter what the U.S. has to say about it. So it's in their best interest to absolutely interfere with U.S. election, to put in power who they want that can cause a distraction so that they can do what they want to do. Those of you who deny this, you're doing so at the peril of American national interest. The Russians are not our friends. Everything that they do is in their best interest, not ours. We should not be trying to protect them or putting our head in the sand, acting as if, see no evil, the Democrats are up to something silly. No, they are trying to demean and get around the U.S. dollar. So what presidency do you think is going to help them in that cause? When our own ally, Germany said, because of this administration's actions around the world, it is putting us closer to nuclear war. Why would they say it's putting us closer to nuclear war? Because if our enemies are able to get around U.S. sanctions, the only other alternative we have is war. And we're talking about another nuclear power here. You got to be able to connect the dots. This ain't about Democrat or Republican. This is about our future, our lives as Americans. Let me continue here. Iran has also been looking to approach their oil trading from a similar approach in the utilization of currency swap agreements. China is another world superpower looking to decrease their dependence on the US dollar after unveiling a move towards their petro-yuan instead of the US dollar when it comes to their trade transactions. You realize China owns the most US debt, and here they are trying to get around the US dollar. Petro is a new cryptocurrency that Venezuela has developed. Think about that. Wasn't Trump just blasting Venezuela a couple weeks ago? As they hope this will be an easy to circumvent the financial blockade that the President of the United States, Donald Trump, has placed upon their nation. It has always been the case that countries would prefer not to use US dollars in trading. If they do something that angers the United States, they are then in an unfavorable business position due to the economic leverage the North American power would have. It looks like cryptocurrency could indeed be the answer to these issues, as they are entirely decentralized, meaning that no one authority, such as a government or a central bank, has any control over the currency. More importantly, global changes in monetary policy will not be able to destabilize a digital currency. That's the end of the article. Let me break that down in layman's terms. Our allies are pissed off that Donald Trump is destabilizing the world and putting us closer to nuclear war by his policies. Our enemies are sick and tired of being sanctions put on them, so their way of getting around it is by using cryptocurrency to get away from sanctions. If they no longer fear that the United States can hurt them financially, then they can do whatever the heck they want to do that is not in the interest of the United States. And the only way the United States can force our will at this point will be to use the biggest and baddest military the world has ever seen, which is what our allies are afraid of, because then it puts us closer to nuclear war, where Russia has nuclear weapons, North Korea has nuclear weapons, and Iran has nuclear weapons. And they no longer need the US dollar, which is going to hurt us. It's going to hurt American citizens. The dollar is only worth 5% of what it was 100 years ago. How much longer is it going to be able to stay propped up if the rest of the world dumps it? So the question is, what are you doing personally? Because if the dollar crashes, if you're heavily invested in the crypto space, you will be able to survive. You know, I was listening to Dr. Murphy, Roy Murphy earlier, who said he's been living 100% on crypto without having to use a bank account since July. Right now, I could live 100%, pay all of my bills, buy all of my food and groceries, without ever having to use the US dollar in the bank. Because I earn my money in crypto, not US dollar. So, I did not mean to start this off on a heavy topic like this. But it is what's happening in the world. So those of you that's just joining right now, you definitely, if you did not hear what I just said, you definitely want to go back to the recording to hear the beginning. This is the biggest news. This is one of the most important geopolitical news to hit the United States in over 70 years. We can deal with our enemies trying to find ways to get around U.S. sanctions and use the cryptocurrency to get and dump the U.S. dollar. But when our allies are saying we no longer have faith that the United States has our best interests at heart, we need to start looking after ourselves. And we don't care if America likes it or not. When our number 1 and 2 ally is saying this, this is a fundamental shift in history. History is being made right now. And again, do we want Germany to be out there deciding their own fate again? How did that turn out over the last 2 world wars when Germany was free to do so? I'm just saying. Pay attention. All right, so now, and I'm actually going to edit this to go in I'm going to make 2 videos off of this. So that first part, I'm going to make 1 video. That's about geopolitics, our enemies and our allies. I think that's what I'm going to call it. Our enemies and our allies, and how cryptocurrency is involved. And now let's talk about Bitcoin for beginners. Bitcoin for beginners. Now this is more about those that's in and they want to look at you know, where to go to do trading and all that kind of stuff. Where to begin? So let me find that article. Here we go. Bitcoin for beginners. So don't worry, guys. I'm going to split this video up into 2 parts when I'm done, so that I don't scare people that's just coming into Bitcoin for the very first time. They know nothing about international relations and geopolitics. You know, I was a political science major from Morehouse College, so I eat this stuff up, and I pay attention. And I also, looking at the news, you know I turn into Fox News, and all I'm going to hear about is Roy Moore is being set up and lied to. And then I turn into MSNBC, and all I'm going to hear about is, the Republicans are supporting a child molester and blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, we've got Puerto Rico still without power. Really? We've got American citizens still without consistent running water and access to the internet and power. I think the Russians accomplished their goal. Complete distraction. Complete disruption. They accomplished their goal. I'm still trying to figure out as an American, what is our goal right now? I don't understand it. I don't understand what our goal in the world is right now. Because we seem to be losing. We're losing influence. We're losing our US dollar. We're losing our allies. What is the game plan? How are we being made stronger right now? This is the weakest the United States has been in since the beginning of World War II, when we got bombed on Pearl Harbor. This is the weakest we've been in the world. All right. I stopped there. That's going to be part 1 of this video. Let's get into part